Ooh, just keep on.
May look off your paper, I'll leave it.
Call this meeting to order. Good afternoon. For Chatham Area Transit Authority, Board of Directors meeting. It's a FY 2026 budget workshop #1, and we have a full agenda. Today is July 15th, 2025. And I turn this over to Ms. Cutter for our update.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
To take this opportunity, first of all, to welcome everyone again and to highlight the FY26 budget. The plan is to present an action item for approval at the July meeting. Before you is a notebook with various different components for you to read at your leisure in preparation for making a decision on the FY26 budget, and whether or not you have any edits or ideas that you want included as a part of the document. I will be presenting in an overview perspective via PowerPoint presentation. It's a lot of information. I wanted to package it for you so you can have an opportunity to read it at your leisure and be prepared to take action on the 29th. Want to call your attention, tab 1, of course, is the budget, the operating and capital. You can peruse through that at your leisure. I will be presenting from the PowerPoint presentation under tab 2. And tab 3 contains information that's kind of still outstanding. Our prior board had concerns about, so I wanted to give you some information to read to kind of bring you up to speed on things. Okay, so we're going to get into the PowerPoint presentation. The FY26 budget is balanced with revenues equaling expenditures at $38,687,890. Our revenues by source, nothing new, nothing different. With the largest category is the Special Service District Transit Tax at $18,023,352. Of course, we are awaiting action from Chatham County on the millage, but this wanted the board to know this is a huge component of the operating budget, and your advocacy is needed to encourage passing. No increase in the millage, but passing the millage as it is at 1.056 mils. Okay. Any questions about the revenue sources?
Does the county approve that at the same time they approve all of the millage?
They normally do. It's my understanding that they pulled it from the agenda and will go back to it. They have not taken action on it as of yet. Yes.
Ms. Cutter, one other question. In the revenues by source, I'm assuming that you also made an additional request for SPLOST 8 allocated to the county. Okay, I just wanted to see what the status of
yes. Our expenditures by division is a comparison of 25 versus 26. The budget was prepared from a conservative standpoint. We have so many question marks as it relates to what our actual revenue picture will look like. So we were very conservative with our expenditures. Some of the unknowns still at the federal level and some of the unknowns at the local level as well to finance in terms of revenue to finance these expenditures. Our critical challenges and risks. as I said, where are we with local, state, and federal funding? Still a question mark. And of course, if we don't have the funding, service delivery will not meet our community needs. Unreliable service delivery due to a depreciated fleet. We are aggressively working on that. We have several grants underway. We have, what is it? How many vehicles do we have under construction?
Under construction, we have two.
Two now. Okay. And of course, we are concerned about public transportation safety. So within the 26 budget, we have allocated a little over $1 million to enhance the barriers for operators to ensure safety. I spoke about service reliability. It's dependent upon next slide. Our ability to provide the service with staffing and rolling stock. Fleet replacement, critical. Customer care, how we provide public transportation services. Are we meeting the needs of our citizens? Building, bus, public, and security upgrades. We are already in the process of building security upgrades. As I mentioned earlier, we are looking into operator barriers. Mr. Flanders, our maintenance and asset manager, has been working with union leadership in terms of the type of barriers that they think would be best to protect our operators. Internal compliance rules in FY26, we will have staff to help ensure that we are always compliant with federal state regs. We get quite a bit of money at federal level. The state has been generous with funding with the ferry, the cabinet programs, and IT equipment to support ferry and bus operations as well. FY26, a heightened eye on staff training and development to prepare our staff for the future. It's important with new equipment such as electric vehicles, our expectations of customer care. We need to heavily invest in staff training and development, and to encourage people to stay with CAT, to look at what the future opportunities are at CAT, and we have to help prepare them for that. Employee benefits and wellness. Since 22, we have been trying to enhance our benefits package and remain competitive. And I think we've done quite well with that. Under the leadership of former CEO, Mr. Massimo, that was priority, and we worked diligently to make that happen. Policy review and upgrades. Policy should be looked at every year. As the environment changes, we have to go back and review policies to make sure that we are compliant in addressing the needs of today's transit world. Next slide. The proposed budget, we are looking at a return of service delivery. Hopefully, the city will be generous in funding the senior circular so that we can bring that back. We will aggressively be reaching out to local colleges and universities to enter into contractual agreements to provide public transportation services to college campuses. Our fair revenue, of course, formula funding from the federal level is based on ridership. And in order to increase the amount of federal funding, we need to get our ridership up. And as board members, we need you to advocate for public transportation. And we are working towards excellence in public transportation in meeting our community needs. Our federal, state, and local grants I talked about, our formula grants 5307, preventive maintenance and operating competitive grants that help us to procure rolling stock. Our GDOT Transit Trust Fund that assists us with special projects and or capital. And our relationship with the Department of Human Services through the 5310 grant. And that allows us to provide services to disabled and senior citizens. The FY26 budget also includes congressional directed spending. There are pending grants in process now. Senator Ossoff's and Warnock's office has been very, very supportive of CAT. And you can see what they've done in FY26.
Ms. Cody, can you ask a question? On the congressionally directed grants, what are I know that given the nature of those and so forth, as the kind of, I mean, they're what we used to refer to as earmarks. What is the cycle or the expected timeframe for decisions on those, or is there not?
The grants are there in process now, under review.
So, but now what I'm saying is, what's the schedule for when they expect to make decisions? Is it 6 months from now, or don't really know? I
Just don't really. Would you say, ma'am?
Yes, so it's a federal process, so in a typical cycle, we would see it before the end of the federal fiscal year, but this is not a typical federal cycle, and so we aren't 100% sure what's gonna happen with this.
Is this something that we can speak with our federal lobbyists about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And typically, the federal fiscal year begins October 1. So we normally expect to know prior to then, but this is a very unusual time. I received a call maybe 2-3 months ago from a gentleman at a high level FTA and said, get them in. We had a rush to get them in. They were going to try to push them through. And they did. We got them in. They began the review process. So we are really hopeful and really think they're going to come through.
So these are the two requests that we made
Yes.
to the congressional offices for them to include.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It would be really helpful if we had if Squire Patton Boggs would give us some sort of their read of where they think those kinds of things stand right now, because frankly, that kind of read of the lay of the land may be more useful even than the inside of our federal transit partners. Just because the dynamic is,
Keep it out front.
yeah, I think it'd be really good if we could get something back to them and say what they.
Yes, because Colin and I were there 3 weeks ago, and tell me if you feel like, I picked up that it's imminent, that the process should be moving. Again, very uncertain, totally get that. But we were talking to them about some other funding, and it seemed like things should be, we should know something, if they should be paying attention, I guess.
Did Congressman Carter sign up on this as well?
No, these were basically through Ossoff and Warnock's office. Not saying. Really need strong advocacy. My last update, I have not been able to get a straight answer as to whether transit request is a part of the SPLOST aid list, but we submitted a request for 48,200,000 for the following Procurements, fixed route buses, 20 million. Paratransit bus replacement, 4.5 million. Micro transit. And other supporting equipment to support new transportation needs, 7 million. Hydraulic lifts for buses in our maintenance facility, 500,000. Ferry replacement, we have one ferry that will reach its useful life in 2029, and one ferry for expansions, totaling $14 million. In addition, $2.2 million for a paratransit maintenance facility. That project is currently underway. By the time it gets construction, prices are gonna be up. So we're just trying to prepare for that as well, for a total of $48,200,000. I can't stress enough to this board how important it is for you all to advocate for this money. Without this money, SPOS has always been the local match. But we need more than local match money. We need fleet replacement dollars. And I think that this is a legitimate request. And it's not just for what CAT needs are, but it could also be a solution to traffic mitigation. It's in some areas, traffic congestion is just, and we have to, I think it's good if we can be a part of helping to mitigate. So.
But we have an event tomorrow with the city manager and the county manager where they're gonna talk to our residents council and small business council about SPOS. So I think we may have some answers in the next day or so. So
Please keep
Yeah.
that
We will.
out there
Yeah.
on behalf of CAT. It will definitely appreciate.
Yep.
One step that we are taking is dealing with succession planning. And we are taking a look at our entry-level positions, such as the transit customer advocates, our clerks, technicians, deckhands, and our captains. And we are building a career path. And dollars to do this has been included within the FY26 operating budget. We are currently in union negotiations, and we will take this into consideration as well as we negotiate. I think CAT has made major strides in what it pays its operators and all union staff. We're actually competitive. So I think what we do with pay and our benefits has really helped CAT and should continue to help us to recruit and retain excellent employees.
One thing, I'll give Ms. Cutter all the credit to in the advances we've made in that area over the last 3-4 years. And one of the things for the benefit of this board, you may or may not be aware that we evaluate very well when they look at us against what other operators are making across the country, what other mechanics are making across the country, and so forth and so on. Those union positions, every year when APTA releases their report on those labor metrics, we always end up in a solid middle to upper middle of the pack. So we're doing well. We're keeping pace.
Next one. Our highlights for the FY26 budget, we talked about the revenue and expenses. Our transit tax revenue is projected to be up based on the growth in the property tax digest. And it's here again, it's really, that's a critical revenue source. And please advocate for resolution as it relates to any concerns about the millage of the transit tax. Of course, we more and more looking at service expansion. CAT is authorized not only to Chatham County, but to provide services regionally. And of course, looking at more ridership or their revenue. Our expenses are up because of the cost of everything nowadays. Our insurance, it was way up this year. And basically that was because of the cost of claims. And our training division is on the operations side is fully staffed now. We are investing in doing more training. The more training we do, the more our broker can sell proactive measures, which should help to bring the cost of insurance down. We talked about the competitive pay and benefits with a focus on career paths, of course, capital and operating funding, local match and federal grants, and critical need, fleet replacement needs. I wanted to provide the board with an overview of what we've done over from fiscal year 23 to what is being proposed in FY26. If you look at the top of the table, it outlines activity as it relates to pay increases for administrative staff. As you can see, beginning in FY23, we issued 3% cost of living. We did some bonuses, and we also provided merit increases. Prior to 23, employees only received merit increases, and all employees did not receive that. So this is just a showcase of how CAT has invested in all of its employees, both union and administrative employees. The bottom of the table shows where the high rate, the low rate, and the actual rate compares 21 through 22. And as you can see, the growth in pay over the years. Benefits enhancements. As you can see, 23, 24, and 25, the goal was to increase benefits, do something to increase benefits. And I think we have been consistent with that. Each year, we have made some enhancement in the benefits that we offer CAT employees. Now, what is proposed in FY26? A couple of years ago, CAT made a commitment to enhancing the retirement plan. In FY26, we have budgeted for an additional $1,000 investment in CAT's 401 retirement to all employees that are a part of that plan. For every $1 that the employee contributes, CAT contributes to. In FY26, we will be making an additional $1,000 contribution if the board approves the budget. Our year-end projections. As of June 30, the reconciled balance was $16,853,225 in the operating account. We have restricted this year-end balance for the purposes as outlined below. Operator bus enclosure, I spoke about that earlier as a safety feature of $1.1 million. FY26 startup in the event of revenue shortfalls or unresolved issues, $8.4 million. Our FY26 capital fund contributions, $2.9 million. Bus stop improvements, 500,000. HVAC purchase or repair at Cat Central, 600,000. And grant local match requirements from FY25 savings, $3.2 million. These are considered restricted funding to be used only for the purposes as stated above, if this board approves the FY26 budget.
As one question, is there an opportunity if this board felt like there might be projects that you're going over today that we could be, you asked us to be helpful, I know in some of the things like SPOS Day and so forth, but if there were projects that we felt like we could be helpful in bringing revenue to the table, and advocating on behalf of CAT, but there might be some match needed in there, would there be opportunity within your restricted funding? Is there any flexibility in there for that kind of thing if it were to come up for a specific project? I'm talking about, not generally.
Yes, absolutely. We are always looking for and welcoming partnerships with at the RISE meeting last week. I learned that GDOT is doing a transportation study. Now we have a grant, areas of persistent poverty for transportation study. So it's an opportunity to work together to gather the needed data, not only for CAT, but to plan better for public transportation regionally. So there are opportunities like that. CAT can do that. And I'm sure there are things that others can do to support CAT in its effort to provide transportation services as well.
No, I was particularly thinking around some of the capital projects that you mentioned earlier that currently have some shortfalls and whatnot, that, maybe there are members of this board that can be helpful in some of those and bring some other dollars to the table, but they just might still require some action. I just didn't know if you had any amount of flexibility.
Well, these projections are always flexible because the money can come in.
No.
We have to go back to the table.
Absolutely.
But the greatest need at CAT is rolling stock replacement.
Absolutely.
Can you help me understand that unrestricted funding? So $16 million there, the whole budget's 38 million. There's 22 that's not restricted. Help me understand what that is, why that is.
Okay, this is at the end of fiscal year 25, June 30, 2025. Our reconciled balance was 16 million. A lot of times people see this money and they think, oh, CAT has lots of it.
Your cash balance.
That's the cash.
Okay.
That's the cash balance. But that money is needed to carry us for 3 months of operations and so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Okay. This is what the capital plan looks like for FY26. 27,032,384. There is a detailed 5-year capital plan within your notebook. I don't expect you all to grasp all of this all at one time. Did we go ahead, to the books? Did we? I don't see it in my book, and that's why I'm asking. It should be at the end of tab 2. 5-year capital plan.
Should it be in the capital?
Yes, here, no, excuse me, it's at the end of tab 1. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, y'all see that? Okay, just, and a capital plan changes every year based upon needs and funding and all of that. But take some time to look over it. Of course, your leadership is is welcomed as we go through operating and capital planning. And we need your voice around other tables to identify the needs to provide public transportation. And our goal is to be excellent in the provision of public transportation service delivery. And tab 3 is really a highlight of critical issues and updates that were shared with the board that I thought would be helpful to you. Bring you up to date on what we have been working on. I did not include all of the ICO updates, but just pulled a few to give you an overview of what has been going on at Chatham Area Transit Authority. You know, over the last years, one thing that we took pride in is transparency in reporting, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's the only way we can move forward in addressing and filling the boards is through sharing of information, the board understanding what the needs are. And a couple of years ago, we began to look at our IT needs. It is very important that the numbers that we report to the federal government are numbers of integrity that we can actually document. And that included an investment in hardware and software to ensure that our numbers are solid and our numbers are good. So all of that's in here. It gives you history. And as I said, at your leisure, so that you can make a good decision on the operating and capital budget aspect. Hopefully you have the information that we need. If there's any additional information that you need, please don't hesitate to reach out. It's important to the staff and the South that this board has all of the information that it needs to make good decisions as we move forward to enhance public transportation service delivery.
Ms. Cutter, I wanted to thank you. This is an incredibly thorough overview and a lot of information for us to spend some time with, which is what we need to do. And I personally appreciate the thoroughness of this and the transparency of it that will enable us to support you in good decision making. So thank you. Thank you.
So can I,
Go ahead.
I've read obviously what's been reported in the media, but our current status in terms of budget, we don't have an approved 26 budget currently. It was just sort of a continuation from 25. So you guys are okay?
We're okay,
Okay.
but
And then-
we'll be bringing
Yeah.
the 26 budget to you on the
Yeah.
29th.
Okay.
For approval.
Okay. But you're able to continue on 25 levels until we get to
We're good.
that meeting. Okay. All right. Okay. Excellent.
Again, thank you, Ms. Cutter. I mean, this is again a very thorough, put together workshop agenda. I mean, everything in here actually helped us to advocate on behalf of the agency. I mean, so if we ever had to go back to it, we have all of our tools that we need to talk with our partners and our community friends to bring them up to speed of where we are. And it actually it helped Andrew and I when we have a conversation with our lobbyists and our federal lobbyists to figure out where they are. So thank you so very much, team.
Thanks to the
Team
staff.
team.
All the staff. Very last minute. Thank you. If there are no other questions, that concludes the visit.
Any questions from the body?
I've got I mean, I know we don't have a lot of the board here. A couple things I want us just to think about, not, as we get ready to consider the budget. I know Ms. Beverly sent a note about APTA, and I don't know what the previous policies were in terms of board travel and that kind of stuff. I mean, I personally, I haven't been to one of those, don't know what goes on in those. I would like to suggest we consider maybe sending a couple of folks rather than sort of the entire board. I mean, given that we're gonna get this uncertainty with funding, it just feels like that, and maybe we can, maybe we can rotate and some folks can go and learn and, that kind of stuff. But it just feels to me like not a great time for a bunch of us to go travel. Yeah, I mean, let's put that money back into the service, or at least hold it in case some of this funding comes. So I don't know where we're at. I mean, I know, with that, but
It's very good about offering webinars.
Mhm.
That if during tight revenue times, that's available as well. And we do encourage board members to take advantage of in-person and online information that has been installed.
so no, I don't have a motion. I just want us to
No,
start.
and also we have, scheduling with everybody. It won't allow everybody to actually attend anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got meetings
Right.
and other stuff they're doing, so, I would just knowing that we had that piece coming up, I'd like for us just to think about that, just make sure if we're gonna do anything like that, it's a well thought out expenditure, we don't, I hate for any of the employees to, see board travel as some reason why they're not getting, whatever, so, I'd love for us just to think about that, and pick up on what Director DeMassimo said. I see I know we asked for some help, and we'll get some info from the lobbyists, particularly about the Plant Riverside dock and some of that stuff. I'd love to, after we get that, if the answer is yes, great. If not, I'm really concerned about, we talked about this before, but federal grants and, lapsing and that hurting us when we go back and that kind of stuff. And so if there's a chance for us to put together a partnership where we can pull some folks to the table and get that knocked out so that we don't have it, a federal project that we don't really want to take advantage of. I'd love to help do that as well. I know we'll wait and see what lobbyist says about that.
This cutter included in our package, because I looked over to find it, because I had asked her to add in a column to show us what the lapse dates are. The lapse date on that one in particular, and that's one that we had an extension on before, is 29. But I would encourage us all to think, in the world that we live in and the way that it takes to put packages of funding together and then get them out to design and then get them out to bid and then get them awarded and then get them under construction. 29 is around the corner. And especially on some of these ones that have been lingering a bit, if we can find some really creative partnerships to help bring to the table to help staff implement those projects sooner rather than later, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think what we have done previously, we were bidding things out, for example, a bus and queue. The bus, the cameras, ITX system. Now when the bus hits packed, it's ready to roll.
Yep.
All in one package, so we're fine tuning and doing things like that so that we can expedite capital projects.
So with the ferry dock, we just got into the situation where by the time it got put out to bid, the grant was sitting there for a bit, and it's still, that's another thing, it's still happening right now. Costs continue to go up every year, material costs go up and production costs go up. And so that one in particular, because it's a major ticket item, is a good one that if we can figure out a great partnership strategy, go ahead and bring that to the table. I'm not completely not hopeful, but congressionally directed spending right now just seems to be quite fraught with peril. I mean, it just is what it is, right? No, whatever, but it is. And so having some of these key projects that you have that are more major and impactful, whether it's bus replacements or the dock or whatever, having some strategies where we can help move things forward. Micro transit, I saw you had that on your SPOS list. There's just lots of things that anything we can do to kind of help put some things together that might just be
Is there an update, and I know we'll talk about it at the same meeting as it relates to the increase in the port fee, and is the CID doing anything in terms of financial support for that? What's being done?
I can talk to you about that after this. We actually are working with the CID now. You may be familiar, and I know a lot of this board is familiar. The CID has just done a major vision plan for the entire CID area end to end. And all of the partners, all of the property owners along that area are all actively engaged. And then even outside of the CID, you know, we understand the business relationships that exist across the river. And so there's just a lot happening there right now that gives us, I think, opportunity. And the city is working very closely to activate those opportunities through some of the work we're doing. So I'm glad that I'll sit down and talk to you about some of that, and we can think about what might fit.
That was where I was headed, because I think the timing, you know, even if it doesn't, 29 is several years away, but with the expanded convention center, so more folks going across the river, more folks staying,
New ferries.
and just that continued increase, timing might be right to be able to pull together a good partnership from multiple sources.
The hotel across the way is, you know, the new hotel across the way, the new residential development, K development. So
and then you mentioned microtransit, this the request in SPOS, and so I was involved on the sort of the pilot part of that. We did not move forward, I guess, with the bigger project, right? So with that SPOS request, was that meant for vehicles? I guess it has to be for capital. Yeah.
And not only but express funds,
Yeah.
and we survey the needs of industry. We're gonna have to do things to address those needs.
Yeah.
So that money is there, even if we do a house, at least there's some money there to support these pilot programs if we cannot get any federal funding.
I just, that micro, I mean, I haven't been around it much lately, but that micro for seniors, for paratransit, for students, for employers that might be not on the, just seems like a neat solution. Technology.
Students too, that may be trying to get to a job, or kids that may be in high school, but they're maybe taking the college classes and elevating themselves. And that was just such a great tool to be able to curate the trip, and, you know, as you may.
We also thought about dual enrollment, is that we're trying to get to Savannah State. They might not have transportation, and that's a scheduled trip that they could, you know, like, so.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I've a couple. So first of all, I had a chance to read the entire packet for today. Really good job. Having just did this for my board, I respect the work.
Hey, way better, way better.
So I have a couple of questions really from my understanding and education than anything else. I know when I presented budgets, you know, present in terms of budget versus budget and budget versus forecast or actual. Here, budget versus budget, 4% increase, very reasonable. Budget versus forecast that's presented here is much more substantial. I know when I present, there's always an expectation that if we don't hit our budget, and when the delta versus the most recent year's actuals is so great, there's an ask about what are you going to do if you don't make those numbers from what you just did to what you're looking to. I assume I heard a little bit, but I want to ask the question for clarity. The revenues are not there, you don't do the program. Is that basically it? Yeah.
Trust me, it's royal. You watched it.
Okay.
I will testify to that.
Second question for me. And I think I heard the answer in the presentation, the expansion. That's tied to increasing the ridership is tied to the amount of funding. So the desire to expand is really about getting more funding.
Well, and meeting the need, community need.
Okay.
It's all tied together.
Okay.
It's about meeting the needs, documenting ridership so that we can get a greater share of federal dollars to support meeting the needs.
And it also attracts the public-private partnerships because people want to be
That's
smart
right.
for the right
Yes.
that's happening. So when Ms. Cutter mentioned earlier, some of the work that RISE is doing and that connection with industry and in industrial growth and economic growth, being able to meet that challenge and growth system has got to be a part of us being able to offer the things that people are looking.
Meet the need.
That answers my question. And because my chairman told me to do so on my board, I was told to mention the word ferry 3 times. Ferry.
Well, you can go back in town. And it's very, and we have one already on
There
the
we
way.
go.
That's 3 times. Very.
Thank you very
Telling you, heard it.
So our chairman had to step out early. He asked me to close the meeting for him. Is there a formal process we need to do to get that done? Is there anything else? Anybody else?
But so, yeah, this said budget workshop number 1. What's
Oh, this is
well,
it's number 1 for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
And since it was not approved by June 30th, I felt the need that you all need to be thoroughly introduced to the contents of FY26 so that you can make an informative decision as it relates to adopt.
Yeah.
The FY26.
so do we anticipate another one or what's the,
Another budget workshop?
yeah,
I think we're gonna be prepared to vote on
To
the,
vote on it, on
on the
the.
20th.
Yeah, and I think you've satisfied the statutory requirements, last with the former board. There were 2 public hearings, public was invited, there was public participation, people spoke. So I think the requirements are satisfied.
Ms. Cutter, one thing I do think it would be beneficial if you would do for us is if, I would assume that some of us, even today, I know we had a chance to ask some questions, but some of us that want to go back and take into this more deeply and might not have done it as thoroughly as my colleague here left in advance of this meeting. What is the deadline that you would want our comments by in order to be able to be thinking about them and incorporate them in any way you might be able to in the final budget that we would be presenting? A week?
At least 1 week, because we want to get new information back to you.
So a week from today, we should have our comments in it,
Please.
and then that would give you time to turn it back around and do us as needed. Okay, that's fair.
Mr. Dumas, is that something that you can send out to the board members who are not present today?
Yes. Is that all right with you, Buster?
That's splendid with me.
and
Were you suggesting that you want to have another?
well, I'm thinking about really Ms. Laster, who's, I mean, I know Mary's seen this before, and Dietrich has. I'm not suggesting another meeting, believe me, but I was asking, since it said number 1, I didn't know if there was an intention to have.
So
a
we,
second.
and I met with the chair and vice chair about the board meeting agenda. And this meeting in July, I would like it to be focused on bringing forward action. So if only, and looking at departmental reports on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
We do have some time that we could spend on the budget if the board deems necessary. We can work it in before, just let me know, and then we can schedule a workshop or 2 for you.
Yeah, well, Chair and Vice Chair certainly can, but I think that's a good idea. I think the budget's, for me, the budget's not just a statement of, I mean, it's the priorities and it's where you're gonna spend your money and it's the roadmap for the year, right? It's the most important vote of the year. So in terms of process, there will be a recommendation from the staff. And then we have the opportunity to discuss, change, and then vote on that package, I guess. Your
Yeah,
recommendation plus any changes the board.
yes, any changes will be documented by the
Mhm.
board administrator. And we will come back and incorporate those changes into the approved
Got it.
document as a part of the approved.
I get, if I can have one more question, and I guess I'll just ask it on behalf of our, one of the reasons that this new board, was put together was to make sure we had representation, both Garden City and Port Wentworth. Can you just take a second, how are those services going? Just how, a quick second on, what's that?
I can almost answer that.
You go, yeah, I'm up for it, yeah. Just,
We were above and beyond.
The demand is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the man is there and it's going higher.
that's
First
so,
time we was in operation, we exceeded what it was expected of us.
that is so awesome to hear. I mean, that's why we do this stuff, right? So, I'm just always want to make sure that we, and of course, the convention center as well, making sure that we're thinking about the ferries, and the folks that are crossing over there, particularly given the expansion.
Yeah.
And the demand going up over there. So you got demand on all these different sites. Yeah, right.
People that are trying to conduct business that live here,
Mhm.
and then also people that are, visiting.
Said there was, in previous budget workshop, there was public comment. Do we have a record of some of the comments, questions public may have made?
As soon as she had it.
Yeah.
That would be a good idea.
I'd love to
for us
see that.
include but I didn't think of that. Thank you for that. We'll get those comments out to you all for consideration. Any changes. It mostly had to do with bringing back routes
Yeah.
that had been removed. Is that correct, Mr. Was that pretty much, the Barnard, four Barnard and 20 out Coffee Bluff, and there was a request in the Candler area where it used to stop at the Lewis Cancer Center to bring, those were the type of comments, and then some about a Sunday service that was removed. I think that was in the Fort Barnard. Yeah, it's correct, shelters. Yes.
We'll get that.
Thank you. Any other comments? I don't have a gavel, but I was, we stand adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, staff.